Welcome back to KMI Community Connect. After having discussed on our last presentation about carbohydrates, both simple and complex, and various kinds of carbohydrates and their sources. Now today we are going to talk more about the storage of the carbohydrates, and the first thing that I would like to impress upon you guys is about how efficient our bodies are designed. So efficiency of the energy storage is very critical, and today you will appreciate how efficiently our bodies are designed in terms of storage of the carbohydrates that we discussed. So if we start looking into the simple sugars that I spoke to about last time, like glucose or fructose, the dietary carbohydrates that we eat, whether it is in the form of rice or any kinds of starches like potatoes or vegetables or pastas or any kinds of complex carbohydrates or simple carbohydrates, then they are broken down. The carbohydrates, like I said, are into smaller. These are like, let's say they are starch. Let's look at starch as one of the examples. They are basically chains of glucose molecules that are attached, multiple chains that this can go on, and that is digested here and it is then absorbed, and the absorbed glucose is then going into the bloodstream. I have depicted here the bloodstream with these tube-like things around, which is like the blood vessels, so that you understand it better. So the energy that is absorbed after digestion is going straight into the blood, and like I told you, the blood can only hold 1 teaspoon of glucose that I represented here, which is about 4.2 grams. For all practical purposes, sometimes I say it's 5 grams. So after having that 1 teaspoon of level of glucose in the blood, the rest is all coming back into the tissues by the help of insulin. So the insulin comes and takes all that extra sugar or glucose that you see in the blood into the tissues, and again puts it as chains of glucose, and this is again packed into chains of glucose. So to understand this, I want to give you a good analogy. Energy, imagine this like currency. So we make money. So we cannot live without money. Currency or money is something that you can equate energy to. So any energy that you can see how we can keep it in our pockets. Like for instance, this is the first storage form. So you can think this energy that is stored as glycogen. Glycogen is again chains of the glucose that are put together. So you can imagine this as currency or money that is put in our pockets. So this is the ready cash or energy that we use. So imagine our first pocket of energy where it is going to be stored once the blood is full with 5 grams is going into liver. Now the liver is, capacity of liver is 100 grams of glucose, which is put in form of what is called as glycogen, which is chains of glucose put together. So your top pocket money, we can imagine this as liver, that has about 100 grams capacity. Then the next part, once that is full, the glucose goes as form of glycogen again into muscle. So the muscle is again it has a capacity of about 3 times that of liver, that's 300 grams. So put together they have 400 grams. So the muscle can be imagined as your front 2 pockets and back 2 pockets of cash that you can fill. So the top pocket is liver, the front 2 pockets and the back 2 pockets is muscle. So all together, put together, is about 400 grams, and this is your ready-made cash. This is the cash that we need for emergencies. So imagine that the cash that you need for emergencies is only very less. So the reserve for that is only 1% of what you can store. The rest is stored in 99% in the fat. I'm going to talk about the fat later. So if you look at the name carbohydrates, which is water hydrates, so it dissolves in water, so it takes in water. So all the carbons that take in water, water makes the carbon very heavy. Like imagine a potato or anything like that, it's very heavy. So if you take that, it takes water. So anything that dissolves in water is also readily available for energy very quickly. So carbohydrates are readily available for energy about 6 times faster than fat. So when it is 6 times faster than fat, why is it that we can't store everything as carbohydrates? Well, we can't store everything as carbohydrates because when water moves into the carbohydrates and water absorbs and it dissolves, water is very heavy. So it is 6 times heavier than fat. So obviously body doesn't want to store the energy that is 6 times as heavy as fat, as much heavier as fat. So body is very efficient in putting it away into a very short, small storage tank, which is glycogen, which is stored in the liver in 100 grams in the form of glycogen and 300 grams in the muscle. So to just make you understand, the storage tank of this glycogen, the carbohydrate reserve, is only 1% and the rest is fat, which is 99%. So you have 2 compartments of storage. I'm going to go to the other compartment of storage later. This compartment, which can hold only 1%, which is your cache for immediate energy really needs, is stored in the liver and in the muscle. So I'm going to be talking next time about what happens if this capacity of 100 grams and this capacity of 300 grams both in the liver and in the muscle is full. What happens next? So what is the clinical implication also of this? We are going to talk, because this tank, which is the glucose tank, and the tank, which is the fat tank, are actually connected, and the reserve from each side can convert into each other, which means the glucose can convert into fat and fat can be converted into glucose when we need energy. So I'm going to be talking about the usage of glucose and also what happens when the capacity of glucose in the form of glycogen is filled up in the liver and muscle in my next talk. I'll see you very soon.